the summer of 2005, 9 feltmakers from Scotland visited Mongolia to share felt experiences. Their journey via Moscow brought them to Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia. There they arrived just in time to participate in an international conference on contemporary and traditional felt making, organised by the Mongolian Feltmakers Association.
To welcome you to the 10th anniversary of Mongolian Feltmakers Association, and we have some guests from Sweden and Scotland. The Swedish person is Gunilla Pusova, and there are some people also from Scotland, a group of people, and also we have guests from Australia.
The exhibits included examples of very old felts, newer carpets based on traditional symbolism, and freestyle artwork. As part of the conference, some of the exhibits were taken to Gorky National Park, into the mountains near the city. Here all the feltmakers met again to assemble the land art exhibition. The installation was used as a magical backdrop for Mongolian traditional live music and dance. This was followed by demonstrations by the visiting feltmakers in needle felting, felt jewellery making and fine felt.
We are making this. How's it keep doing? She's a very good helper. Yeah. Oh, you've got very strong arms. Like that, big hand. This one again. Up. And that's not something to be trying to show.
One of the highlights of the conference was the making of a carpet in the old traditional way. Carpets are made communally, and the making is undertaken in the autumn. A large piece of felt is produced outdoors, drawn in a roll behind a camel or horse. A flat area is selected near a lake or river. The wool is laid out in several layers, the short hair wool forming the soft exterior surface, and the long hair wool creating its centre. The rows of wool in each layer are always set out evenly. The work is done with utmost care, as it's strictly forbidden to remove any strands of wool once placed, in order to avoid weakening the felt. Throughout the process, hot or warm water must be sprinkled over the laid out wool, so the lanolin coating of the fibres dissolves and the wool can mat together. An existing piece of felt, known as the mother felt, is placed on the ground, and the new felt, known as the son felt, is placed on top. The mother felt is a clean, sparingly used piece of felt produced the previous season. The felt is rolled around a wooden shaft measuring 25 to 30 centimetres in diameter, its length being slightly greater than the width of felt for the wall of a ger or yurt. In Mongolia, generally speaking, there are two types of felt making. First, the large-scale communal felt making, undertaken in autumn, where the felt makers produce covers for gers and carpets. The other method is small-scale, by individual felt makers, done all year round to create fine-grade felt for boots and hats. Two bearings, usually made from the horns of a wild ram, are attached to the shaft. Next, the roll is bound tightly with a cross binding, sometimes using camel rope, but more commonly leather laces. The binding of the roll of felt requires much skill and responsibility. If the binding is too tight, the felt can weaken along the bindings and later tear apart. If the rope is too loose, the end of the leather can come undone and the felt forms unevenly. Once the binding is complete, everyone gathers round the roll for the offering of traditional blessings. Become hard, like the head of a bull. Become stiff, like the neck of a camel. Dampened with water from the rains, drawn by a fast horse. May you become felt, white as snow, hard as bone. In general, the felt is drawn 18 to 20 times over a distance of 15 to 20 kilometres. 5 to 8 felts can be rolled in a day by a group of felt makers. Families with limited resources may roll up their felts with another family. The same felt-making sites are often used year after year for generations. After 3 days at Gorky, the felt makers are on their way to Altan Bulag. Here a project has been set up for the Scottish felt makers and Mongolian herding families to meet and work together. The Scottish felt makers stayed for 3 days with the herding community. Travelling through the countryside, you become aware of the amount of people still living as nomads, with their large herds of cashmere goats. The biggest export is cashmere fibres from the goats. Other domesticated animals are sheep, horses, camels, yaks and cows. Camels and yaks are recognised forms of transport, whilst sheep and goats form a staple diet. The traditional drink is arag, which is fermented horse milk. Sheep shearing is a communal activity held twice a year, once at the beginning of the summer in May or June, and once in the autumn in August-September. The wool collected in early summer is called long hair wool, and the wool shorn in autumn is called short hair wool. Traditionally, the wool is cut using a pair of scissors. The sheep is turned over and its feet are bound. First, the wool gets shorn under the belly, then from the neck down. A distinction is made between the fine, short wool of lambs and the coarser wool of mature sheep. The fine quality wool of lambs or younger sheep is kept for making fine quality objects. The wool gets gathered up in baskets. After the sheep have been shorn, the beating takes place. Traditionally, the wool gets beaten on a calm, windless day with straight willow sticks. The feltmaker kneels down and pulls the sticks quickly and sharply. The wool is pulled upwards to separate the fibres and to get rid of excess dirt, creating a fluffy quality. Blessings are spoken during all the manufacture of felt making. There are many taboos. For example, it's forbidden for dogs to be present at the location where felt is being made. This is to prevent their hair from getting mixed in with the wool, which they believe would weaken the felt. It's forbidden to whistle during felt making. It's believed to summon the winds of nature. Once the carpets are felted, various patterns are applied in a running stitch. Typical outlines are triangular, square, hexagonal or octagonal modules. None of the decorative patterns are used purely as abstract motifs, but express a symbolic meaning, rich in philosophical significance. Spiral patterns relate to clockwise orientation, meaning in harmony with the sun, and traditionally are never worked into objects to sit or step on. When someone comes across someone who is stitching, they will say, "May your stitches be tight." An outline for the patterns to be embroidered is marked in ochre on the felt. Generally, Mongolian patterns symbolize the wish for long life and happiness and a large family. The trim is spun from coarse cow or camel hair. The wool is wound around a spinning spool. 2 spools are taken in the palm of the hand, twisted left and right. The wool is braided together. Camel wool absorbs water, therefore it is only used for embroidery and rope making. A rope-like trim is sewn along the border to reinforce the felt. The strands can be made of contrasting colours, black and brown or black and white. In Mongolian culture, any border or edge is treated with great care. It is prohibited to fold, step or stand over the edge of a felt carpet, to stand on the doorstep to the home, or to touch the collar of another person. Other felt items produced around the year are cushions, mattresses, saddle pads, riding cushions for horses and camels, various containers for salt, tea, coins, tools, musical instruments, and clothing, hats, jackets and boots. In 2002, 7 Scottish feltmakers travelled to Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan to learn about traditional felt making in Central Asia. This time, the journey to Mongolia was meant to be a more hands-on project. The idea was not just to research traditional methods through observation, but to teach each other. Both sides were keen to spend time with each other and to make friends.
It was very dark.
The Gers were next to a river where animals came to water in the evening. Horses, goats, yaks and shorthorn cows were grazing nearby. The river is the essence of all life. After a hard day's work, the animals are taken to the river for watering and to splash away the dust and heat of the day. Humans and animals alike enjoy this life-giving element. Mongolian nomads are very proud of their horses and mountains. There are no tracks or courses, just open countryside. The wild horses are called taki by the Mongolians. Prehistoric drawings in caves in France and Spain show that these horses were hunted by primitive humans over 20,000 years ago. There are many traditions and rituals, such as the Nadam festival, Mongolia's 3-day sport event. The festival showcases 3 sports: horse racing, archery and wrestling. Horse racing was one of the events organised for the international Feltmakers. Jockeys, boys and girls aged between 5 and 13, were demonstrating their riding skills. The 5 winning horses are admired, and the 5 winning riders must drink some arag, which also gets sprinkled onto the riders' heads and on the horses' backsides. Arag, the sour, fizzy, mildly alcoholic liquid made from horse's milk, varies in quality from area to area, depending on the grass. The best arag is said to come from the Gobi. Men drink 10 to 15 litres of arag per day. The young riders sing traditional songs before and during the race, and the winner is declared leader of 10,000. The Scottish Feltmakers had a wild race in old jeeps to reach the finishing line of the competitors. They cheered and greeted the racehorses and their riders. The winner was a little boy in a bright jacket, riding a flea-bitten horse. Mongolian wrestling has no weight divisions or time limits. Heavy boots, small vests, and tight pants are worn. An experience the Scottish Feltmakers watched, keeping a fair distance. The most common traditional Mongolian board game is made up of a number of chess-like pieces. The different sized pieces, made from sheep's ankle bones, represent various domestic animals. The game is played on a piece of embroidered white felt. The traditional Mongolian ger consists of a wooden framework with a covering of several layers of felt, depending on the season. The layout of the ger is universal. The door faces south, and once across the threshold, men move to the left and women to the right. Towards the back is the place of honour. There's a hospitality plate with offerings for guests, such as dairy products, dried cheese, bowls of milky and salty Mongolian tea, vodka, and of course arag. The main garment is the del. a long one-piece gown made from wool. The dell has a high collar and is worn by men and women all year round. Instead of archery, the Scottish Feltmakers decided to practice their skills in dung collection for the open fire. May your scissors be sharp, and the sheared sheep number 10 million, growing by the hundreds of thousands. May the tangled wool become like a curtain of fog.